First off, just wanted to get your assessment of last night and just how you felt coming out of that night. And one of Ime's messages to you guys, it sounded, was come back better. For you, what does that mean, both as a leader and as a player this summer?
Yeah, for me, I feel like that's exactly what you said. The leadership side of things, how to be better for the guys down the line, and then individually just improving so that things like that won't happen again. Um, Going in, seeing that last night, you want to congratulate the other team. It was a long, hard-fought season but for both sides, but it shows for me how bright of a future this team has. It instills confidence in me and all of my brothers, I feel like. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things you have to respond now. How do you approach this next coming season? And that's kind of how I've approached it, seeing exactly the celebratory, seeing how huge of a moment that is for anybody, for any player, no matter if you played or you didn't play. It just makes you even more hungry to come back. And I know that for me, I just want to be there again and be able to have that same opportunity to compete at a high level like that again.
Grant, Bobby, you have a follow-up question for Grant?
Yeah, and Grant, when you look back on this series for you, I know you probably don't carry regrets out of it necessarily, but just what do you think you have to do to reach that next level as a player and as a team?
As a player, I have to continue to improve offensively, to be able to put a little more pressure on the opposing end, just to also continue to improve on the defensive ball as I have over the past 3 years. That's really it for me as a player, because when you have the opportunity, you have to take advantage of it, and you want to be up to the point where you can't be taken off the court. That's my number one thing, is where no matter if you're a coach, no matter if you're a player, no matter if anyone in the stands, you're looking at the guy and saying he can't come off because he's making such of an impact. So that's my approach for the upcoming year. And then I forget what you said for the second half of your question.
No, that was it. Thank you.
Okay.
Question up is Adam Himmelsbach. All right, Adam Himmelsbach, next.
Hey, Grant. I saw you had kind of extended chat with Draymond after the game last night. Just curious kind of what the general message was, and more so what you take away from the experience of going against him in the series and what you can maybe pull from it moving forward.
Yeah, as I've always said, Draymond's like the guy that I always idolized growing up, and he's the ultimate competitor. And it's one of those things, showing the respect that was deserved. As much as trash talk or as much as we go at it, at the end of the day, we leave it on the court. And that's exactly how I think both of us are and how both of us play. So it's a little bit of just congratulations from my end, and him instilling that word of wisdom for the future. And you always got to respect a man like that. He's a phenomenal guy. And for us, it's just a matter of, he basically just said, you'll be back. And when you get back, don't allow the opportunity to slip again. And just continue to improve. You know, those, it's not necessarily in those words, but that's kind of the message that I received from him.
Gary Washburn.
Hey, Grant, what did you think of kind of how tough was it offensively for you guys? It just seemed like they put you in positions to be uncomfortable. You know, you and I think everybody kind of struggled at times. How tough was that? What can you take from that? Do you watch video of this series this summer? Do you forget about it? What do you kind of do to, like you said, you want to improve and not be pulled off the floor, but like as an offensive team, how do you think you guys need to improve to make sure that a defense doesn't put you in that position again?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is the physical and mental conditioning, more so the mental side of things. Physically, I feel like we were prepared to match physicality and everything else, but I feel like they had that discipline that you need in those moments. They had the experience, and we didn't play that way. We played kind of immature in a sense, you know. A lot of the simple reads that we could have made, we didn't, and that allowed them to spark their transition and spark their break. So it's more so about making sure that we understand exactly what we're trying to accomplish. That's what I pretty much said throughout the whole playoffs is understanding what we are looking for out there and then going out and executing. And I feel like we had a good understanding of what we were looking for, but we didn't execute. And that's probably the biggest thing is we had enough opportunity. We held them. We did our job on defense. It's just our offense kept shooting us in the foot. So for us, it's just finding ways to not only get those extra possessions, but also make sure that the possessions that we do have aren't wasteful. Whether that's a turnover, whether that's a bad shot, which leads to another three on their end. Playing against a team as dynamic as them, even as well as we defended them, I think they averaged 103 points over the whole final. We just didn't. Our offense didn't keep us there.
Jared Weiss.
Grant, you were just talking about how you need to find ways to make sure that you can't be taken off the floor. What did you learn from Draymond going up against him as someone who he couldn't score for most of the series, and yet he continued to find ways to make an impact? And how do you think your growth in that sense could help the team from getting stuck in that stasis offensively, because you could find different ways to impact rather than just trying to space the floor and crash the glass?
Yeah, part of it is just being a threat. I feel like they respected me as a shooter. They didn't leave me. They didn't, and if they did, they would run me off the line and try to make sure I made a play. So oftentimes, if you're able to not only just be a threat out there shooting the ball, but also, creation and being a little bit more aggressive playing downhill, it makes it even more hard because defensively wasn't an issue. Defensively, I felt I could compete with them at any time. So really it was just, I feel like, providing that extra offensive for the team with the guys that were out there with us. Because as much as you provide shooting, if you switch everything, there's no real way to get an open shot. So being able to take advantage of those switches, whether that's punishing on the glass, whether that's take advantage of a mashup, whether that's just improving in that sense, I feel like that's my next step.
And Chris Ryan.
Hey, Grant, you mentioned the mental side, the experience side as being major factors in the Warriors having success.
You're breaking up. I can't really hear.
You mentioned some of the factors that led to Warriors' success in the series, mental maturity and things of that nature. Is there anything else that jumped out at you in terms of why they had the success they had?
Nothing was glaring. No. If you go back and rewatch each game, it was the same old things: turnovers and offensive rebounds. The game was won by that. It wasn't necessarily like they killed us on the offensive end, not in the half court or weak, like one way or the other. It was more so whichever team won those battles won the game, and also the dynamic shift of like how they changed the series starting in that game where they won 3 in a row. They just upped their physicality and we responded somewhat, but then we scapegoated sometimes. And that's a little bit of the maturity side of things. Us being more mentally strong is the number one thing for this team moving forward, and being more prepared to focus in on every single little detail that needs to be done.
Final question, Grant, for you from Martin Murphy.
Hey, Grant. They've been to 6 finals in the last 8 years, won 4 titles. You see the maturity they have and maybe the maturity that you guys still have to develop. And what kind of a gap do you think there is there?
I don't think it's that big gap, honestly. I think that as much as I'm bringing it up, I feel like it's a quick fix. Some guys, it takes an off season to respond the way they did. You look back to teams over the past years, superstars included, non-superstars included. You go through something like this. This is our first time experiencing it, and it just makes you change it for the better, it changes you for the worse. And I think that each guy in this locker room is going to change them for the better, for their approach, and it's going to be a whole different team and a whole different approach next season just by the start of it. Everybody's going to come back with a different mentality, a different hunger. And if they don't, then we're going to bring it out of them because we're not going for it if it goes next year.
Thank you for your time, Grant.
Thank you.